Learning the Danish language isn't easy for those of us moving to Denmark from abroad. However, it's the unique social etiquette rules in Danish culture which cause the biggest miscommunications and culture clashes. Today, we're discussing one source of social confusion, Janteloven. I'm Derek.
I'm Annie, and you're listening to What Are You Doing in Denmark, the podcast that helps you make Denmark make sense. Derek and I have been living in Denmark for years and are well-versed in Janteloven. It's a code of conduct in Denmark based on disapproval towards expressions of individuality and personal success. It can also be a culture shock for many. Understanding Janteloven can offer valuable insights into Danish culture and societal norms, and that's why we're talking about it today.
This social concept can add a degree of difficulty to life in Denmark for foreigners, like our guest today, Conrad Molden. Conrad is a British comedian who's been living in Denmark for over a decade, and he's stopping by in the middle of his wildly successful comedy tour to let us know why it's socially unacceptable for us to call it that.
We're going to figure it out and share all of our opinions about it. Welcome, Conrad. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. And wildly successful, let's slab at A.
Okay.
Take it easy.
Yeah, socially acceptable.
Yeah, it's the right
adequate
amount of achievement.
What would you refer to it as?
Yeah.
Standard standard filling of a room with members of the public. Everyone
Standard.
being equal.
Okay, standard protocol of that.
Yes.
Love it.
With some comedy.
Yeah. Oh, and there's comedy on the side,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
If we must. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds very hoogly.
It's been extremely hoogly.
Yeah.
But everybody's equal, You can share the stage.
Oh, good. Do you let people hop on at all?
Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I'm funnier
But
than you. No. You
Yeah.
can swap.
I feel like it would. So at what point does it come and go? Because then you're saying I'm providing equal opportunity, which this is all false, by the way, for somebody to hop up on stage. Say that were the case, and then somebody's hopping up on the stage, and that person is creating a spotlight on themselves.
Oh, sure.
So where does it?
Maybe everybody should be standing on the stage and looking at an empty audience.
Oh, that actually makes, I like that. Then everybody would be
that.
truly equal.
Yeah.
Sounds like the open mics that I used to do.
Okay, perfect. So let's get back into that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got to see it, and I think your show was wonderful and wildly successful in
That's
for me.
Very
Yes.
sweet of you guys.
Yeah.
Coming from the
I
US,
loved
it's
it.
nice to receive compliments.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Good.
So we're going to discuss this whole concept of Janteloven, what it means, what it does to us as part of society. And I thought, though, we could start with a little game because this may be a bit meta, but the idea in Denmark of not standing out, not being better than others may permeate to Denmark being number 2 in a lot of world rankings. So we know in happiness, the Finns have taken over Denmark as the number 1 most happy nation. And I thought I'd, bring you guys some questions to see what else Denmark is not quite number 1 in. The first one, and these are multiple choice. We'll keep it
perfect.
nice and easy and equal for everybody.
Low pressure.
But Denmark ranks as the 2nd most peaceful country in the world, according to 2023 Global Peace Index. So what country do you guys think was number 1? A, South Africa, B, Switzerland, or C, Iceland?
Oh, that's tricky.
Yeah.
Well, Switzerland, everyone's just a billionaire, aren't they?
Right.
Peaceful.
You would know.
Yeah.
That's peaceful. But I'm going to go with Iceland just because I know some Icelandic people and they're alarmingly chill.
Yeah. What do you think, Conrad?
I'm also going to agree. I've been to Iceland and everyone was extremely friendly and very calm.
Yeah. Besides the volcanoes.
Except the volcanoes.
Stay calm. Don't disrupt the volcano.
keep chill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're right. It's Iceland. Yeah. So our fellow Nordic neighbor.
Love them.
Iceland. Yeah.
Thanks for Bjork.
Exactly. Okay, second one. So when the OECD, when they measured binge drinking across member nations, Danish women tied for number 1.
Oh, wow.
Couldn't be number 1 altogether. Yeah.
Okay.
With 26% of Danish women reporting binge drinking at least 1 time per month. 'Cause it would be rude to be number 1 and in the spotlight alone. Yeah. So women from what country do you think tied with Danish women? A, the United Kingdom, B, Romania, or C, Germany?
Oh, that is tricky.
The Germans love their beer.
The Germans do love their beer.
You have the UK insight.
Yeah, I mean, the UK love their Alco Pops.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's
Then
really
I don't
hard.
know much about Romania, but something about it sounds like some weathered women live there, and perhaps they are easing their troubles alcoholically.
Is it all 4?
No, yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
Is it a 4-way tie?
Is it a 4-way tie?
Sounds, yeah.
I'm going to go with Romania.
I'm going to shoot UK.
Yeah, it was UK.
Oh,
yeah.
uh-oh.
Yeah.
Look out, guys.
There you go. But we don't call it binge drink. It's called a Friday, Derek.
Oh.
Standard.
This level of language.
Yeah, well,
Okay?
you know, English is my native, but I speak American English, not British English.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the,
yeah.
So-
that's
It is quite.
You get the dictionary out on that one.
exactly.
Binge drinking. Oh, an evening with friends.
Oh.
An evening with the chaps.
That's just called
with the
A
chaps.
British Friday.
That's good.
Third one. Last year, Copenhagen was rated as the number 2 most livable city in the world, according to The Economist. So a Danish city. But what city was number 1? Would that be Auckland, New Zealand, Vancouver, Canada, or Vienna, Austria?
Ooh. I think I know this one.
You
Seen
do.
this one?
I think I saw in the news it was all about Austria and that everyone is
Really?
going to Vienna. I believe so.
Interesting. I don't know. I haven't been to Vienna. Actually, I haven't been to any of these places, so I have no room to speak. But like New Zealand seems so dreamy. Vancouver just sounds extremely expensive.
Yeah. I mean, New Zealand is just, isn't it just sheep and amazing waterfalls and trying not to talk about Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, I was just gonna say Lord of the Rings. Oopsie. So that's my answer. But let's see.
Yeah, it was Vienna. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so good. Okay.
Wow.
What do you
Clean
think?
sweep for
3 for 3?
Conrad. Yeah.
There
3
you
out
go.
of 3.
But don't
Check in
tell
the
us.
news.
Shh, no, he's
Yeah.
not so good.
Yeah. Oh,
But
okay.
the secret
Sorry.
true answer is Aarhus, obviously.
Oh, okay.
But the Copenhageners just didn't release that in the news.
Of
Or was
course.
it Aarhus? No, it was Vienna.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're suppressed on
Obviously. Do you feel like Aarhus is more livable than Copenhagen?
That's a really good question. It depends
Yeah.
what you mean by livability. It's smaller.
Yeah, so that's easier to get around.
It's like being only in Islandsbrugge.
Okay.
And then if you walked off Islandsbrugge, it would be a field.
Okay.
It's kind of like that.
I
And
can't believe I haven't
the
been. That's crazy.
and the Gamelbu.
Yeah, exactly.
did Gamleby.
Yeah,
Gamelbu.
Have you been?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, actually,
Yeah, we met.
Yeah,
Oh,
we met up there.
cute.
Yeah,
That's so nice. That's
yeah,
really
it's
cute.
just it's super dialy.
Okay. Getting on to the topic of Janteloven, what is it?
Well, the idea was that there was a Danish-Norwegian author called Axel Sandmoser. I have the book here, conveniently.
Wow.
La, 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 la. Available at a bookshop near you. And in 1933, he wrote a kind of satire about an imagined town in Denmark called Jante, which is actually based on Nykøbing Mors over in Jylland. It's actually a small island next to Limfjorden, depending on how good your Danish geography is. It's
in the
Udkants,
north,
Denmark,
right?
it's in the middle of nowhere. And the idea was that this town had a kind of social code about how people should live, and that it was quite small town and quite repressive. And the story is a kind of reflection of Danish society, his interpretation of Danish society, because it's a kind of like pseudo autobiography about his life. The thing is that story then got adopted into Danish culture, and people have now kind of adopted the law, the Janteloven, the list of rules, as a kind of belief system. But it's not necessarily one that people ascribe to. It's just present in people's lives. So people kind of know about them, and there is a lot of truth to them. It's a lot about being homogenous and collectivized and not putting the individual at the very top.
Yeah.
But, of course, it's also too much. There's no harmony within it because there's no space for individuality or self-achievement, these kind of things. But it's kind of funny because the book is actually a joke reflection about Denmark. But
Right.
people are mad at Axel Sandmoser.
No.
Yeah, because they think that people misunderstand and think that he wrote a list of rules about how to live.
Yeah,
but the
yeah,
rules are
yeah.
actually a kind of a dark joke.
Yeah. So he didn't like the Danish culture at the time.
No, he actually he's a really shady character in general. Yeah, he's a bit sketchy dude, not a nice
okay.
person. But he, in his personal life, he flees Denmark, and as I understand, he was on like a ship that sailed around Norway and did some dark stuff. He's not a liked person.
Whoa.
And his book is
Ooh, I
disliked.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Disliked, but had such a profound impact on the culture.
Right.
Yeah, and
right.
Scandinavia in general.
Yeah. Don't all Scandinavian countries sort of
Yeah.
ascribe to this? And why? And no, just why?
You don't have to, right?
Yeah. I guess I can see in some ways how it like lends itself to life being somewhat more streamlined, which I'm all about. You know, as an American, I see a lot of individuality, like importance placed on individuality. So a lot of people expect things to be done a certain way for them, and you can see that's certainly not the most efficient use of time in a lot of circumstances, and can just lead to a lot of weird power dynamics, which I'm not a fan of. I do think that Denmark is really good about mostly keeping a level playing field, which is really valuable, but I think sometimes it can get taken too far. Like, you know, if you have a Janteloven forever tattoo on your neck, you might get some weird looks. And, you know, we should just let each other live in peace.
That idea of living in peace is maybe part of it. It's kind of nice to, you know, it kind of lends itself to that like live and let live mentality.
Yeah.
of like, we're not better when we're egalitarian. We don't have anything. But then it goes a little extreme. I think some of the laws are like, you can't teach us anything.
Right.
You don't think that you're going to have anything to add to us. And I think that can have some really scary.
Well, just like the live and let live thing, like you're saying. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she said that she knew a Dane that bought a really nice car, but they were so worried of how they would be perceived by that they like parked it around the corner. You know, it's like if somebody can't manage their feelings around you having a nice car, I just wonder how much like introspection it would require for people to just accept people as they are and still maintain like a peaceful society. You know, ooh, scary.
I was at a show recently, and during the show, I talk a little bit about Janteloven, have some jokes about it. And after I came out, I was talking to some fans, and a guy said to me, I have to show you a video. And it was shot in Copenhagen, and it's of a really, really nice Bugatti car parked outside a restaurant somewhere or other. Very, very fancy car. And on the back is just a huge bumper sticker that says, fuck Janteloven. It gets better. He zooms out and walks around the car. Very nice, sports car with the doors are sliding up like this and all that jazz. He goes round to the front. It's parked in a disability bay. But it has a disability sticker in the front.
A roller coaster.
This has really been a roller coaster for me.
That poor man. Yeah. And apparently, I can't say his name, but he's a known...
public figure,
eccentric individual known for his outlandish behavior, who lives in Copenhagen. And he said as he goes around the car, the guy gets out, big dude covered in tattoos, huge, like jacked, massive dude. And apparently this individual has had so much lip filler that he had some sort of infection, something from it, and that meant that he was able to apply for disability. So he's able to park it. He's able to, for free in any disability bay in Denmark, I believe.
I'm about to call up my esthetician.
I've gone back and forth in my emotions.
I'm all over the place.
Wait, with the lips, hang on.
Hold on. Wow, I want to see that lip filler.
I want to see the lips,
yeah, but now I'm like, I'm going to go to the esthetician, get all jacked up, and get disability. Easy.
Or find a new esthetician.
Wow, that's impressive. Okay.
Just thought it was a very good example of the kind of counter rebellion that can go all around it. I just think it's funny that it's so specifically Danish, or people think it's Danish. But I don't know about you guys, but in UK, small town life is also like that.
Right.
Right? Like if you're only a few hundred people living somewhere and somebody, they made their house look nice, or look at their new garden or whatever.
Yeah, it kind of does give like Texas redneck vibes. Like he thinks he's too good for a old Ford pickup, that kind of thing. So
I think like Texas in the U.S. is an example where I have a good friend of mine who I lived with for a bit, who spent some time in Texas. Mike lived in Texas as well for a year. And they have something called like the credit card billionaire or credit card millionaire in Texas, which is like the person who will rent a car like that on a credit card, like for the evening, and just try to project an image of wealth that maybe they don't have.
Scary.
Yeah, that's a little bit too extreme with the commercialism. I think in the U.S. we call it like keeping up with the Joneses. Like you want to keep up with your neighbors, and that
I just cannot understand the mentality behind that. Especially like I do think that Denmark is is really good at downplaying materialism, and I do think that given the times that we live in, environmentally, I think that's really valuable. But I think you should also be an individual, enjoy your life, not expect people to cater to you necessarily. It's so complex, really.
Yeah, it is. I could see it so many ways. But if you're into cars, why I will not begrudge my neighbor a sports car if that's something that they're really into, and if they've achieved a level of professionalism or whatever, or a level of income where they're able to invest in their hobbies. If it's a car. No?
That's the least Danish thing I ever heard.
Like my brain automatically just like went so American. I'm like, if somebody's like jealous of somebody's sports car and that's what they want, they should work harder. I don't know. Like, I guess, is that bad or good? I don't know, but I just like automatically go like all bootstraps. Like,
but that's some of the critiques of Janteloven is that having something in place like that enables people or like diminishes ambition, right? Like it makes people think, I can't be ambitious, not only so that I don't stand out, but for what reason? So that I have more material things. You know, you don't want to.
Yeah. And then it's also like on the other side of the coin, it's like I can see how Janteloven can sort of help establish like a healthy work-life balance culture,
True.
if that makes sense. You know, like I don't have to like go for that insane promotion. I'm gonna go pick up my kid and just like go get some ease. You know.
Yeah.
I'm always so impressed by Dane's ability to be comfortable being so uncomfortable. You know, like they just in my American lens, I just see so much put up with that I'm like, that's not necessary. But then maybe, I don't know, is that some sort of like achievement, character, like accomplishment? It's hard to say, or I don't know. It's interesting how an American would look at it. I'm thinking specifically childbirth, where like, you know, it was quite discouraged for people to get epidurals here. And a lot of people in the US were like, I saw this in my comment section, I would never give birth in Denmark then if that's even like a discouraged thing. And a lot of Danes were replying, well, like, it's just not necessary, you know?
But it's available. So why not?
Right.
Why not
Right.
take advantage of modern medicine?
Right. Yeah. I wonder how much like the culture of like not taking medicine and having any sort of like, you know, comforts when you're sick has to do with Janteloven as well.
It's a very good question. I don't know. I'm thinking about it in my own, trying to get into the Danish mentality. I don't think it's so special.
Well, like when you no.
Think you're better than everybody.
When you went to the dermatologist, did they give you any sort of anesthetic?
Yes.
Oh, I have a friend that got a colonoscopy, and they didn't put that in the US. Normally, you'd be put under, and they just kind of gave them some laughing gas, and were like, "Good luck in there." Yeah, he was like, "That was the craziest thing I have ever experienced." Yeah.
I think that's part of it, though. Is you know, of course, it came as satire.
Yeah.
You know, these 10 commandments almost of how to behave and how to act.
Yeah.
But it also, I think, creates a permission structure to judge other people, perhaps look down on other people. I think it creates this sort of society, you know, the intent of making everybody equal then basically says that everybody can judge you. So everybody can judge what medicine you're taking, or, I don't think you need an epidural. I don't think you need to be
That's so
knocked out
interesting.
for this, instead of just letting you make your own medical decisions.
And then on the other side of that, it feels like people, it's almost become this like one-upping competition of like, how much can I handle? You know, like, I didn't have to give birth with an epidural. Yeah, I did bike, 6 kilometers in the pouring, freezing rain. Like,
Yeah.
And that's kind of like being an individual.
Yeah, that's kind of true, actually, right? It becomes a sort of reverse, right? Where it is actually about boasting about yourself because you're doing what everyone else is doing, right?
Yeah, like you made that reel or the TikTok or whatever that was like, I'm so good at Janteloven, I'm probably better than my friends. You know, like that is so real.
Right.
That is so real.
Right, because in a way, that is almost how people act.
It's true.
I don't care about, have you ever had a friend who's like, I don't watch TV? And I'm like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
But also, it's not a thing. It's not a
they're also like,
personality
I don't
trait.
watch TV, but I watch Netflix on my laptop. You know,
Right.
that's
Right.
the same thing, girl.
Right.
That is
What do you
the
point
same.
your furniture at then?
So true.
Yeah.
I wonder what like the antidote or the solution to Janteloven or bringing it back into balance would be.
Well, I know that there are some Danes who have formulated the anti-Janteloven list.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
like 10 new rules that you should live by,
cute.
which is much more in harmony or in balance. I just think it's such a strange thing because I don't think there is any Danish person that would say, I believe in these or I
Right.
follow these.
Right.
It's just this kind of thing that people are bouncing back and
It's
forwards
just permeated.
from. Yeah, exactly. But I years ago, I was living in a small town outside of Aarhus. Not a village, but like a small town. And it was funny because there was... I'm not sure exactly where they were from. Somewhere from the Middle East, a family moved in, which was very, very unusual
wow.
for the area. I mean, incredibly unusual. Everybody is like extremely white and Danish. And the amount of critique that this family got from everybody was so intense that I felt like whatever they were doing, people were watching them. Like, did you see where he put his bicycle? Did you see the time that? And it's like, if you overstudy anybody, right, you're going to think they're weird.
Yeah.
Because you're just zooming in on one person's behavior. And I couldn't help but think that it's just because it's a small town, you know? And it's just kind of, permeated, at least from my experience of coming to Copenhagen, living in Aarhus, I feel like it's a lot less prevalent than going out to some of the smaller places.
Yeah. I haven't spent any time living in any smaller towns in Denmark, but I don't know if I could hack it, honestly.
Yeah.
Just having that sort of spotlight on you.
You would be the one with the spotlight.
No.
You're like, have you seen the American that moved in next door?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Have
Sometimes
you
I do
seen what
feel
they
that
eat
way.
for breakfast?
Well, we get asked that sometimes too. Like, would you ever consider living somewhere else in Denmark? And logistically and professionally, it just wouldn't be. It wouldn't be in the cards for us. But we prefer living in a city as well. But I do think that Janteloven, especially in the instance that you brought up, Conrad, really does pose some unique challenges to international people living in Denmark, whether, for whatever reason they're here, whether it's professionally moving here for work or coming under different terms, fleeing somewhere. It's not only one more thing to adjust to, but it can set you up where you do get critique you're not looking for. You are under the microscope of your neighbors because you'll stand out more simply because you're foreign.
Right. And there's no way you're never going to not stand out in some way. Just like we were saying before, like I don't think, maybe I'll become fluent in Danish one day, but I won't be able to express myself fully, and so I'll stand out in that way. Maybe I'll say things weird or have an accent.
A posh American accent.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, there's no way that I will ever fully like disappear into society. So it just can feel kind of discouraging in some way to just be like, oh, I'm never going to feel respected. And not that that's necessarily true, but that can be like a little thought at times.
I think another aspect that internationals living in Denmark need to cope with is there's a lot of things that you have to do at once. And one of those things is establishing a network. Most people that move here are not moving into a community with their friends and family that they grew up with. They're usually moving to a place and starting from scratch, which means that you do need to do things to stand out, to attract a network, to network period, so that you can find professional opportunities if you move here as a trailing spouse, for example. And that can kind of go against Janteloven to talk about your achievements, your qualifications, your background professionally so that you can make those contacts. It's really difficult to navigate while respecting these unwritten rules of Janteloven.
Have you felt that in your career at all?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I've noticed that especially through my comedy, that often what gets the biggest laugh is the kind of reverse joke. So you can make fun of something, but then if you bring it back on yourself, this kind of self-deprecation or putting yourself down a notch, that also gets a lot of release. It's really funny, though, because you feel like that the Danish people can observe that they are, being stoic and living through these kind of rules, but at the same time, and be self-ironic about it. But at the same time, they're still like, but it's how we should live.
Okay.
Right.
Like I have a friend comedian who has a really good joke where he says, the difference is, he's an international. He says the difference is if you meet a Dane at a dinner party, they could have 3 PhDs and you would never know. And he says, but if you're sitting next to a Romanian who has just finished their whatever bachelor in multimedia design, they will tell you about that immediately.
Yeah.
And I know that Danes get that, but they will still be like, but I'm not going to boast.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
That they can laugh at it. That's the funny thing. They can see the irony in the situation.
That's so interesting.
It's funny you say that. I have a friend of mine who was an exchange student at my high school in Pennsylvania who lives in Copenhagen.
Oh.
And we met up recently for the first time in, I don't even know how many years, but it's been quite a few.
Enough. Yeah.
Enough. And one thing that, we have been planning to meet up. And he said, I work near Gammelstrand metro stop. Okay, great. So you work near this metro station. Well, I'll look for some bars around there. And then meeting was discussing, okay, what do you do? Oh, I work in IT. Oh, interesting. Okay. Who do you work for? Oh, it's a government position. He is the IT person that works directly with Metaflex. And
oh, wow. There you go.
The place he works near the Gammelstrand metro stop is Parliament is Danish Parliament. I'm like, could you imagine meeting somebody in London or in DC who
Yeah.
works in the
Oh my
White
God.
House or works on Downing Street and
Yeah.
and
It'd be like
doesn't I don't know if I got that correct or not. What works for the
Right.
the prime minister or the
Yeah,
president?
I wouldn't know.
Brilliant.
Who wouldn't make that the first thing?
Oh
in
my
the-
gosh, that's like their core identity. You know,
that's
that's
brilliant.
so
It
was just so
interesting.
funny.
Can
Yeah.
you imagine walking with him back to his office? You'd be like, oh, this is
Right.
this is where you're going in.
Yeah, here we
And he's
go.
like just showing me pictures on his phone, like, oh, this is an event that was this. And I'm
Wow.
like, oh my gosh.
It is
wow.
kind of nice though, because sometimes, like, not not that I have any sort of importance in society. What's it? Wow, so Janteloven of me, but it can feel nice to like feel invisible sometimes. You know, like I feel like I can go out and go about my day and just enjoy my life. Whereas, like, I hear about some people that maybe are, do you feel like I'm sure you're like recognized in public quite a bit, and do people just say hi, leave you alone, or how is that?
I'm sure you also get the same, that people will come over and say hello or a recognition. But
Yeah.
the funniest thing I find is that I will feel like somebody is looking at me or something
Yeah.
like that. And
Yeah.
then later they will write to me on the internet.
Yes.
Aw.
That's the best. And
Do
then
you
they
like
will
that?
say-
Yeah.
I mean, it's just very Janteloven. It's like
Yeah.
this. It's like, I saw you in the street. I didn't want to disturb you.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to say, it's very sweet of them.
Yeah,
but it's just
yeah.
like, it's okay to.
Yeah,
Say
yeah.
hello. I mean,
It's
obviously-
totally fine and
obviously it
great.
depends.
Yes. Yeah.
You know.
But it can't, I don't, it's nice knowing that people, I hope people know that I don't think that I'm like special in any kind of way, and I don't feel like I'm treated special in any kind of way. I do content creation, and sometimes people, especially American content creators, can get real weird with like weird power trips on that. So there is the benefit to that of just like I get to continue to be like a normal person in society, and I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're moving to Nykøbing Moors soon.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Here we go. Crazy.
Well, I think that's a good place to take a pause, and we'll be back next week in your feed with more discussion about Janteloven with me, Derek, Annie, and Conrad. You can find our social media links in the description and show notes if you want to catch up with us before that, or don't if you don't think we're that special or have anything to teach you. That's also fine.
So
Thanks for
fine.
listening.
Tack.
Hi.
Nice.
So cute.
Awesome. Yeah, it was really
So fun. So fun.
Super gnarly.